Caucus Day in Iowa isn't the only reason why tomorrow is so noteworthy. January 15th is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a time for us to remember the heroism and sacrifices of the iconic civil rights leader whose actual birthday is tomorrow. This year, the King holiday hits at a time when some Republicans have sought to rewrite, if not erase, pivotal eras in our nation's history. Earlier today, I sat down with someone who knows all about Dr. King's legacy. Dr. Clarence Jones, Martin Luther King's former attorney and speechwriter, who's now chairman of the civil rights group Spill the Honey. Dr. Clarence Jones, welcome back to the Sunday Show.
Glad to be here, brother.
So we're here in the King holiday. You wrote a book in 2009 entitled What Would Martin Say? And I wonder, what would Dr. King say about the efforts today to rewrite American history, particularly the history that he and you and the civil rights generation helped create?
He would say, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Paraphrasing Jesus Christ. He would be appalled, but forgiving.
What do you think he would make of Donald Trump and what he's doing as he campaigns for another term in the White House?
I think he would go back to basics and say that he didn't believe that any sinner was beyond redemption, and that would include Donald Trump. Having said that, he would call him out for what he is. He would be less restrained, I think, than other people, because he would characterize Donald Trump. I don't want to put words in Dr. King's mouth, but having been close to him and one of his advisors, I think the word he would probably use that would be most comfortable with him would be fraud. I think he would use the word, he's a moral fraud.
What do you think he would say to President Biden if President Biden had a chance to sit down with Martin Luther King? What do you think Dr. King would say to President Biden?
I think he would say, Mr. President, be very careful. You have a very treacherous snake, and you have to be on guard 24/7. And this snake has the ability, regrettably, of being able to hide his true characteristics and appeal to some people. And he would further say that you may not have asked for it or wanted it, is that you were called at this particular time in history to save the soul of America. Because if you don't, with your presidential powers, we are in deep doo-doo.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why you are in town in New York City is that you went to see the revival of Pearly Victorious.
Oh, please, yeah.
And you arranged for Dr. King to see the original production in 1967. That's 56 years
61,
ago.
I think it was.
Yes. So having seen it last night, how do you think the message of Pearly Victorious hits today as opposed to...
Tears came down my cheeks, and I said to myself, oh my God, if I had had sufficient time, I would have leave no stone unturned to bring Governor Haley of North Carolina here with me to see this show. How prescient, how extraordinary. I must say, in retrospect, some 40 years later, whatever it is, in retrospect, how prescient and astute it was that R.C. Davis, through word and humor, could deal with the reality of the defining of the American nation, and that's slavery.
Dr. Jones, last question before I have to let you go. On this King holiday, what do you miss about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King?
Well, first of all, like so many others that were more close to him than I am, but obviously the first thing I miss is his very presence. I just was blessed with having my 93rd birthday, and he will be 95 tomorrow. And it's a very difficult question, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I miss him very much. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure Sometimes I move to tears and inadequacy because I feel that I have not measured up and done the best that I could have to carry out his legacy, but I did the best that I could.
Dr. Jones, you know you are one of my personal heroes.
Oh, you are.
And it moves my heart to see you move this way. You're a great man.
Oh, please.
And you should not think that you have not measured up. And I want people to know before we go, folks, this man that you are looking at, just give you one little nugget of who Dr. Clarence Jones is. You know Letter from Birmingham Jail.
Yeah.
What you might not know is that this man is the one Dr. King handed those papers to, and it is this man who smuggled it out of jail. He is Dr. Clarence Jones. Thank you very much, Dr. Jones, for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Thank you very, very much.